Yo, what is going on, guys? So, I just had to do this. As you guys know in my last video, I mentioned this article here called Why MGTOW is Bullshit from a website called Girls Ask Guys. Now, ironically, this website should be called Girls Telling Guys, but I'm going to let that one slide for now. Let's get into the article, shall we? This individual says, I see more and more guys around here saying they are MGTOW, so let's clear up some things. Men go their own way. Fuck me, that sounds powerful. And all the guys who are saying that, they say it in a proud way. You'd think this is a strong organization. You think this is some big, tough, masculine movement. Sadly, it could not be further from the truth. Let's break it down. Men. Misleading from the first word. There are no men in this group. Just because somebody is male doesn't mean he is a man. That's something I hope most people already know. And these guys are not men in any possible way. They are whiny little bitches. Reminded again of the story of the fox and the grapes. This is what they are doing. They are too weak to achieve even some average results. So they give up and go cry. Is that a man? I know society changed a lot, but that will never be a man. Men get shit done. Go. Again, misleading. Go implies some sort of movement, but these guys aren't going anywhere. There is no end goal. There is no purpose. Their only difference is that now, instead of bothering other girls who don't want them, they are going to ignore those same girls who still don't want them. How lame is that? T and O, their own. Partially true, partially bullshit. Their own would imply that it's something they chose. While it's more the only thing they could do, they weren't intelligent or strong enough or whatever to achieve what they wanted. So instead of admitting that they're the ones who fucked up, they decided to blame 3.5 billion people instead. How retarded is that? You have to be in serious denial to think that. But from another point of view, it is their own, because it's now the common name for whiny little bitches. So we will let this slide, since it's the only thing here that's somewhat close to the truth. What a joke, right? And then, way, the fifth letter of the acronym. If it wasn't sad, it would be funny. Which way is that? Chronic masturbation? Are you fucking kidding me? It's not like you have much of a choice here. There aren't 50 genders you are compatible with, so you can be like, man, I'm tired of women. What's your alternative? There are only 2 genders, and you're already one of them, so it leaves you with only one you're compatible with. So if you give up on that one, you're essentially left with nothing. That's not going another way. That's being a little bitch and staying in your place instead of going forward like everybody else. So there's absolutely nothing masculine about this. It's not feminine either. It's just retarded. And there's absolutely nothing to be proud of. Instead of being ashamed, they are proud. But again, that's how mankind becomes better. Weak, pathetic little bitches like these are not going to reproduce, and they're not going to spread their weak, pathetic genes. So this might even be natural from a certain point of view, but that's another topic. Yes, girls can be really hard to deal with, especially nowadays. And for weak, pathetic guys like them, it's even harder. I get where they're coming from, but that's a good thing. If girls settled for weak pussies, it would ruin us as a species. Again on that topic. This way, girls want a man, or at least somebody on their way to becoming one, and they are doing us a favor because guys have a challenge to become better, and they work on themselves in order to get a girl. They are helping us. Imagine if every nerd, loser, gamer, or whatever could get laid. Almost no guy would work on himself, and we would all become retards. So, be grateful to girls and rise up to the challenge. Or, don't. Keep being a little bitch and keep crying about how sad your life is and how all girls are little bitches. And the whole world is fucked up. You're the only ones who are right. It's your life. Fuck it up in whatever way you want to. But know this. The world doesn't owe you anything. And unless you fight for what you want, you'll always remain a degenerate loser. I know I'm probably going to get hate from these retards, and maybe a few more. Fortunately, I don't give a fuck. Well, It would seem from this article that you sort of do give a fuck, because otherwise you wouldn't have written it. But I digress from that. Let me go and have a read of a fantastic comment that was dropped by a guy that ironically was the most uprated comment and therefore came in as the most helpful guy. I strongly disagree with this take. This is something you write when you're trying to win female approval, not when you actually have an argument. Oh, this article was written by a mangina. Interesting. Interesting. All right. There are no men in this group. Just because somebody is male doesn't mean he is a man. All right, so there are no men in this group. Just because somebody is male doesn't mean he is a man. That's something I hope most people already know, and these guys are not men in any possible way. They are little whiny bitches. But never once do you define what a man is. You just state that they are not. If this were about women and you simply said real women don't get abortions, that would probably be seen as outright ignorance, hopefully. But it's men, so people are all aboard failing to realize the parallel. Men get shit done. Again, what shit? You see, my concern is not that a person has these thoughts, but that they are so poorly thought out. What constitutes any of this? Is it the number of sexual partners that makes a man a man? What average results are we talking about? Not meeting an average median of sexual activity, romantic activity, or success in dating, or what? Arbitrary. First, it's going. And second, actually they are going somewhere. The end goal is really quite simple: to avoid gynocentric setups and lose-lose situations involving the law. MGTOW exists particularly because of the marital system, which men almost always lose in. And before anyone says prenup, they can actually be overturned by the court. They are literally one of the most worthless legal documents in existence. They are gonna ignore those same girls who still don't want them. How lame is that? Again, a presumption. But actually, many MGTOWs date and are sexually active. This falls under the same trap as the previous proposition where manliness is vague, and now we have this vague jab at some unknown person who supposedly constitutes the majority of those who actually sign up under the banner of what is essentially a pseudo-civil rights movement that arose from men's rights, with the plight of the commoner being the foremost element. They weren't intelligent or strong enough, so whatever they wanted to achieve, they weren't intelligent or strong enough or whatever they wanted to achieve, so instead of admitting they're the ones who fucked up, they decided to blame 3.5 billion people instead. No evidence of that at all. Ironically, this is on a GAG, which is the premier place for people who are, as you describe, to hang out. So I'm gonna give my take on a few of the comments. I'm going to actually give you a few little comments on and my observations on this piece, in addition to what this man has so eloquently replied with. So he's right. There has been absolutely no articulation of exactly what it is to be a man. Oh, by the way, thank you so much for that donation, Crypto Andrew. I really appreciate that, brother. Good to see you all in the box. Including yourself, MGTOW Farmer, Sith from France. We've got Boxy MGTOW, Cliff Barker, Jason Sparados, my man. Good to see you all. And the West Winger as well. Net positive taxpayers should be the only ones allowed to vote. Exactly right. And Second Chance. Good to see you, as well as you, Sword. Thank you for joining in. All right. So, absolutely. Totally wrong about just because somebody's male doesn't mean he's a man. That's actually exactly what it means. You are legally a man, you are treated as a man, you are tried as a man, you are legally responsible as a man, you are socially accountable as a man, just because you're male. So it kind of does mean that. And if you're not a man, then are you a woman? No, you can't be a woman because you're not female. So that's just the most ridiculous thing I've read in a long time. And yes, men do get shit done. Shit for themselves. Okay, a go implies some sort of movement. There is no end goal, apparently. Well, I highly disagree with that, because there's plenty of stuff that I'm working towards ever since I went MGTOW that truly serves my purpose. So this is not just, oh, I can't get laid, so I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to jump online and sit in front of my computer. No, not even, couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, when's the last time you guys saw me on the computer? Honestly, I'm always in my car, I'm out and about, I'm working, I'm going, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. You know what I'm talking about. Their own. Partially true, partially bullshit. Their own would imply it's something they chose, while it's the only thing they could do. Well, there's plenty of things I could have done. I could have stayed on the plantation. I could have, you know, stayed married miserably. I could have done lots of things, but I chose to do this. So I don't exactly know what part of their own is bullshit, because their means collective and own means theirs. So if you guys are collectively doing your own thing, that's their own in MGTOW. They weren't intelligent or strong enough or whatever to achieve what they wanted. So instead of admitting they're the ones who fucked up, they decided to blame 3.5 billion people instead. How retarded is that? Well, you know what? It's pretty retarded to blame 3.5 billion people. Fortunately, that's not exactly what's being done. Weren't intelligent or strong enough? Well, seems we're strong enough to hold our own and strong enough to be blamed for being violent and dangerous, but we're not strong enough to be given any credit in a feminist article. Weren't intelligent enough. Actually, we were very intelligent to choose to opt out of relationships and even say no to attractive women who come our way, right? Simply because we know that it's not beneficial to us. I'd say it's extremely intelligent, right? Especially understanding the framework of the way society is set up to fuck men over, which is what that other gentleman mentioned in the comment. But from another point of view, it is their own, because it's now the common name for whiny little bitches. So we'll let this slide, since it's the only thing here somewhat close to the truth. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, idiot. And way. If it wasn't sad, it would be funny. Which way is that? Chronic masturbation? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, no, not chronic masturbation. As we have mentioned, a lot of MGTOW do date and do have sex. It's just that they've opted out of legally binding relationships, which mean they could lose half their shit, and which mean that they are far less likely to be accused of domestic violence to gain financial gain when the woman gets bored of us. You know, because we're out working and doing all that boring stuff, right? Thank you so much for that generous donation, Matthew Foley. It's good to see you, man. I appreciate it. Harmonic Live as well. What is your alternative? There are only two genders and you're already one of them. Thank you. Thank you to a feminist for admitting there's only two genders. That's at least something they got right. So if you give up on that, you're essentially left with nothing. No, we're left with all of our assets. We're left with our dignity. We are left with our time. We are left with our free thinking. We're left with way more than just a woman. WCMW, women coming my way. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much MGTOW, and women coming my way sort of tend to go hand in hand, because when you become a MGTOW, when you start to look after yourself and start to build yourself up, that's when you start to become even more attractive to a woman, right? It's extremely ironic that it goes that way. All right. That's being a little bitch and staying in your place instead of going forward like everyone else. In fact, I would argue that MGTOW are moving forward far quicker and in far greater leaps and bounds than anyone who's stuck on the plantation, getting married, getting stuck in long-term relationships, kowtowing to the demands and expectations of women every single day, right? I've found since I went MGTOW, I've been able to achieve so much more than I would have ever been able to achieve without going my own way. So there is absolutely nothing masculine about this. It's not feminine either. It's just retarded, and there's absolutely nothing to be proud of. Instead of being ashamed, they are proud. So you don't even understand what being masculine is, dude. So if you understood what masculine is, you'd understand that this is what masculinity looks like. Right? Muscles are what masculinity looks like. Strength of character. The ability to say no to people who are trying to push you around is masculine. Right? And that is exactly why MGTOW is the epitome of masculinity. If you call yourself MGTOW and you're always getting pissed off with women because you can't get laid, okay, maybe we need to address that, right? That's not really MGTOW. That is, by definition, involuntary celibacy, right? And you know, if you start looking after yourself, if you start letting go of the hatred and anger, and you start focusing on yourself, you will find that that will inherently go away by default. Yes, girls can be really hard to deal with. Yeah, they can, especially nowadays, as you mentioned. And for weak, pathetic guys like them, it's even harder. Why would we go to all this extra? Why would we go to all this extra effort, right, to please girls who are extra entitled? Right? Just go back to my video yesterday, female entitlement mentality. It's exactly what I'm talking about. Right? If girls settled for weak pussies, it would ruin us as a species. Well, you're already having babies with weak pussies. Well, no, you're not. You're marrying weak pussies who are going to provide for you, and then you're having babies with the bad boys, and then you're bringing those children up in an environment with a beta male who doesn't know how to set boundaries on the guy who's genetically predisposed to being a bad boy. So, you know, the hypocrisy is just glaring here. The world doesn't owe you anything, and unless you fight for what you want, you will always remain a degenerate loser. Well, it's funny because that particular statement is completely interchangeable with women as well. So the world doesn't owe you anything, women. Unless you fight for what you want, women, you will always remain degenerate losers, women. So be grateful to girls and rise up to the challenge. Be grateful for what? For their entitlement complex? For having to provide for them? Like, are you serious? Here we go. Because guys have a challenge to become better, and they work on themselves in order to get a girl. They are helping us. Imagine if every nerd, loser, gamer, or whatever could get laid. Almost no guy would work on himself, and we'd all become retards. Sounds like there's only one person in this equation that's being a retard right now. And it's definitely not the guy on this end of the camera. So I'm just going to go inside now, guys, because I've got to start working in a sec. But, you know, it's funny how they're saying that we need to work on ourselves. And, you know, they're basically saying every guy who's a gamer or a geek or stuck in their mum's basement is a MGTOW, and everyone else is a contributing member of society. And if you're not anyone else but a loser or a gamer or a geek, then, you know, you must be MGTOW. And therefore probably inherently incel, posse, and therefore inherently a loser. I don't know. Anyway, guys, look, I've got to get started to work pretty much about 30 seconds ago, so I am going to bounce. But just wanted to share that with you, and to guys, particularly guys who are constantly having shaming tactics used on them, so that they can see that they are not alone. All right, man, I'm out of here. I will see you in the next video, and thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Peace.